And now, ladies and gentlemen, Dicko F. Lockett. Hello, folks. How are you all doing tonight? Are you all in the Christmas spirit? Yeah! Good. I only have 2 minutes, so let's go. Why don't you ever see Santa Claus in a hospital? Because he has private health care. What do you call a kid who doesn't believe in Santa?
I don't know!
A rebel without a clause. What's the difference between the Christmas alphabet and the ordinary alphabet? The Christmas alphabet has no L. Why is Santa so jolly? Because he knows where all the naughty girls live. Why are all the Christmas trees better than men?
Why?
Even the small ones give satisfaction. What do Santa's elves learn in school? The alphabet. One Christmas, a little boy wrote to Santa Claus saying, "Please send me a little sister." Santa Claus writes him back and says, "Okay, please send me your mother." What's Santa Claus's favorite type of potato chips? Crisp Pringles. 3 men died on Christmas Eve and were met by St. Peter at the pearly gates. In honor of this holy season, St. Peter said, you must each possess something that symbolizes Christmas to get into heaven. The first man fumbled through his pockets and pulled out a lighter. He flicked it on and said, "This represents a candle." "Very well, you may pass through the pearly gates," St. Peter said. The second man reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys. He shook them and said, "These are bells." St. Peter said, "You may pass through the pearly gates." The third man started searching desperately through his pockets and finally pulls out a pair of women's panties. St. Peter looked at the man with a raised eyebrow and asked, "And what do those symbolize?" The man replies, "These are carols." Oh, that's my time. You're a great audience. Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year.
I'd like to welcome everybody to part 3 and the final episode of this 1934 Philco 84 series.
Well, hi there, sweetie.
There's a lot of work to do on this, and I'm going to have to concentrate on this cabinet here. Now, I'm not going to strip it. It's in too good of a condition to strip, but I will clean this up real good. There's a lot of dirt around here. I'll touch up some of these areas where it got dinged. I'm going to glue this one portion of the veneer that's loose up here. Let's clean this up real good. See that there? And then spray it with some lacquer. But we're going to do that later in the episode. So right now I want to concentrate on this. Let me tell you what I'm up to. As you saw last week, I finished up the Bakelite blocks. They're installed and looking good. And I was trying to decide what to do about the higher voltage these days as opposed to 1934 voltages. Now my voltage coming out of the wall here is 122 volts. And these radios were made for like 115 to 117. So usually I just add a drop-in resistor and stick it on the chassis here. But I thought I'd do something different. If you remember last year when I worked on Miss Moose's radio, that was one of those radios that used a resistive line cord. And since I didn't want to use one of those, I had to drop like 50 or 60 volts. It's hard to remember, it's been over a year. But I used an AC fan capacitor to do that. Now that wasn't my idea. That was the idea of my pal Brendan, who's a radio and TV genius who when I ask for help, always is there to help me.
Let's go, Brandon.
What? No. His name is Brendan, not that other guy. Anyway, because the math involved is very complicated, he found an online calculator that when you enter all the parameters, it will tell you what value capacitor to use to drop whatever voltage that you needed. Let's take a look at that. Okay, here's the calculator that Brendan found online. It's calculators for radio repair and more. I want to scroll down and use this one here, a voltage drop for series tube filaments. Now the first thing we got to enter here is my AC line voltage, which is 122.
Oh, I see.
We'll put that in there.
Okay.
Now the frequency is 60 hertz.
That's right.
Next is the cumulative filament voltage, is the voltage I want to run the radio on. So that's 110.
I see.
Now the next one down is the filament current. This is the current that the radio draws, and my radio draws 0.374 milliamps.
Okay.
Now the next one down there, Brandon said just to put 0 on there.
Yeah, why?
On the surge limiter voltage drop. Okay, now all we have to do is hit the calculate, and this should tell us the dropping capacitor value here. So let's hit the calculate button.
Okay, let's do it.
So it's telling us we need a 18.8 microfarad cap to reduce the voltage from 122 to 110. Now Brendan told me this is accurate for resistance loads, but here we're dealing with an inductive load because I'm using a transformer. So we don't know exactly how accurate this is, but this is a good starting point just to put in an 18 microfarad and see what we get. If it works, it works. We may have to add or subtract depending on what we get. So it's time for an experimenting with Buzz segment. It's going to be fun. Let's do it, huh? Okay, we have AC caps here. We have an 18, a 17, a 16, a 15, and a 14.
Yeah, you can count.
There they are. Beautiful sight, huh? Now I believe that one of these will work. Which one, I have no clue. Now I'm going to start with the highest one, which is the 18 microfarad that the calculator suggested. So let's hook up the 18. Okay, let's do it. Now we're going to start out with an 18 microfarad cap. And the way this is wired is, you use 1/2 of the AC line, which is here, and you hook up the cap in series.
Is that legal?
Okay. Now I've got this meter plugged in to the wall here. This is my voltage coming out of there. We're a little bit high today. We're measuring 124.6. And the radio's hooked up directly to the wall too. So when I flip this switch, we're going to read the voltage coming out of this side here. And we can compare between the before and after.
How very interesting.
So let's just turn this on here. I noticed that jumped up quite a bit to 136, 137.
Uh-oh.
Now it's coming down. So it looks like this gets a surge while it charges us up. So from 124 we drop to 121. I'll write that down. Next we'll try a 17. Okay, here's the 17. Again, it surged, not as much as before, Now it's going down. So it went down to 121. Okay, it's about the same. We'll write that down. Next we'll try a 16.
Are we going to be testing on this?
Okay, let's turn it on. Surge went up to 134. Huh. Now it's dropping. So it went down to 118. That's compared to 124.
I'm confused.
So we're going in the right direction. We'll write that down. Next we'll go to a 15. Okay, let's turn it on. Surge went to 135. Now it's dropping. So from 124 to 116, that dropped it about a volt from the 16 microfarad. And finally I have a 14. Now this is the lowest I've got. So we'll try this.
Are we done here?
Okay, let's turn it on. So this one dropped it down to 114.8, which is a couple of volts lower than the 15. So I probably could use this. The only thing I don't like is the way it jumps up to like 135 while this is charging. So I'll have to run that by Brendan and see what he has to say. Well, it looks like the 14 microfarad cap will work. So I was thinking of using a CL90 with the 14 microfarad cap. Now this is a CL90. It's an inrush limiter. Let's try this, okay? We'll hook up one end here and one end here.
Well, this is getting exciting.
When the CL90 is cold, it has a resistance of around 130 ohms, but then as it warms up, the resistance is less and less. So let's just see what happens now. Here we go.
Be careful.
Smooth.
They had me as the keynote speaker, and I felt different this year. I felt like I could make more jokes and laugh and also bring the heart. And for me, that's such a big step forward. I love being able to laugh with people and to bring some light into the darkness and not just be the crying widow, you know, who's having a hard time. That was nice.
As you can see, it worked. I wonder what would happen if I put in a 15. We'll bump it up a little bit. I'd kind of like to get around 110 to 112. So let's try a 15 in there. Just cool that down a little bit. So we get a better picture of the startup when it's cold. Okay, let's try it. Seems nice and smooth. Doesn't jump up too high. Okay, the radio's up. We'll see how high it goes. It's getting warm. If it gets up to 110, I think we got a likely candidate here. This combination.
Look here. Now what's the point of this?
Hey, I think that's going to work great. Now you're probably asking me, Buzz, just throw a drop-in resistor in there and be done with it.
Yeah.
You know, I can do that. I just like to experiment with different things. Since I've never seen this done before, I thought I'd give it a shot, and why not? Instead of doing the same old thing, let's do something different.
So let's agree, shall we?
I gotta go potty.
Still going up to 112. I think that'd be perfect.
Perfect.
You know, I think I'll install this, and then I'm going to leave it run, maybe run it a couple days, and we'll see how it's doing.
It's all part of the plan.
Not too bad. And of course, this is not going to get warm. So there you go. So that concludes another episode of Experimenting with Buzz. I hope you had fun.
Gee, that was fun!
Before I clean this, I want to fix this piece here.
Ah, blue!
We'll see if we can clean this. I found this in the garage.
Yeah.
Long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I deliver. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride. But something touched me deep inside the day the music died. So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Did you write the book of love, and do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. Do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage bronc and buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck. But I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing bye bye
Let's strip it.
American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Now for 10 years we've been on our own, and moss grows fat on a rolling stone, but that's not how it used to be. When the jester sang for the king and queen in a coat he borrowed from James Dean, and a voice that came from you and me. Oh, and while the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned. And while Lenin read a book on Marx, the quartet practiced in the park, and we sang dirges in the dark. The day the music died, we were singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Helter skelter in the summer swelter, the birds flew off with a fallout shelter, 8 miles high and falling fast. It landed foul on the grass. The players tried for a forward pass, with the jester on the sidelines in a cast. Now the halftime air was sweet perfume while the sergeants played a marching tune. We all got up to dance, oh, but we never got the chance, 'cause the players tried to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. Do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? We started singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Oh, and there we were all in one place, a generation lost in space, with no time left to start again. So come on, Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick, 'cause fire is the devil's only friend. Oh, and as I watched him on the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break that Satan's spell. And as the flames climbed high into the night to light the sacrificial rite, I saw Satan laughing with delight. The day the music died, he was singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. I met a girl who sang the blues, and I asked her for some happy news, but she just smiled and turned away. I went down to the sacred store where I'd heard the music years before, but the man there said the music wouldn't play. And in the streets the children screamed, the lovers cried and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken, and the 3 men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, They caught the last train for the coast. The day the music died, and they were singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. They were singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing this'll be the day that I die.
Now that most of the cabinet work has been done, I got to finish up this speaker here. Pretty crusty, huh? So I got to clean this up. I got to rewire it. Also, I had a little accident here. My finger poked a hole in there again. So I'm going to have to fix this. So let's take this top cover off and see what's underneath there. Not too bad. I'm going to do this work off camera. Well, I got the speaker done.
It looks pretty good.
I put some spade connectors on here so you can disconnect the speaker when you pull the chassis out. And I like to get this thing installed so I won't wreck it again. One thing I have to do here on this chassis is remove this. I just put this on temporarily. Let me remove these wires. I need to check this resistor here. The schematic says it's supposed to be 4 meg, and from what I've been reading, it seems to be high all the time, so let's check it.
Yes, I think I'll drink to that.
Could it be that high? 9 meg? We'll have to cut one of the ends off and measure it again. Well, indeed it is that high. Hopefully I got a 4 meg to put in there. I didn't have a 4, but I got 2 2s in series. Let's just check this. Alright, that should do it. Need to put a new wire in there too. Well, it won't win any awards for soldering, but...
It's true.
No, I just got to put the grid wire on here.
Testosterone levels are at an all-time low.
Well, here's the AC capacitor installed with the CL90.
Nice!
I think it looks pretty good there. I put in a fuse. So I think we got a winner here. Okay, I'm going to do a quick alignment here. These things are very funky. I've got a metal socket here, and every time I stuck it in there, it makes interference, so I'm going to do the best I can here. I think it's best just to align this while the radio's playing, but let's try it with a signal. Now the signal generator is set for 460, that's the IF, and it said to tune the dial to around 600. So let's just turn this on. Turn this around here. It's these two trimmers that I need to adjust.
At the tone, the time will be 4:56 and 20 seconds.
There's our tone. Right about there. I think that's as good as it gets. Well, this volume sure is loud.
1509. Bingo will find it.
When I turn the volume switch all the way down, you can still hear it. So if I turn this antenna screw here, I can turn it down so I don't get no volume when it's all the way down. But when I turn it up,
Call 800-555-15.
let's see how many stations we can get with this, huh?
You know, it's kind of cool.
One.
So I'll be watching that tonight. Will you? Like you travel the world, been there a number of years. It's won a lot of football.
It's two.
You know, in terms of what he brings to it, it's not like these ideas are original with him. Yeah. But he has a
Three.
of making the ordinary freakish and message of the day, the COVID
Four.
situation. In the USA, the anti-vaxxers are dug in.
It's five.
Despite President Biden's promise.
That's six.
Puts a barrier around your home.
Seven.
The instant they detect anyone. Consultation, call 844-284-4864.
9. Nine stations. That's not too bad. Most of the time I get about 5 stations with an All-American 5, so I think it's pretty good. It's time to put the grill cloth in. Here's the original one. That's rotten. Now here's the grill cloth I decided to use. So, what I want to do here is use some spray adhesive. Spray it on here. And then put it on like that. No, it goes like that, right?
Buzz, please don't screw this thing up.
Yeah. Okay. I better not mess this up. Problem with this is everything is sticky. before I can put in the grill cloth and the speaker, I got to put this in. Now, this is the original one, and this one's looking pretty toasty, so I ordered a new one from Radio Days. There's the difference. Now this was held in here by 4 nails.
If I had you, you'd be my dream come true. Blondes and brunettes that are hard to resist, you surpass them like a queen. You've got those lips that were meant to be kissed, and you're over sweet 16. Beautiful girl, what a gorgeous creature, beautiful girl. Let me call the preacher, what can I do but give my heart to you, beautiful girl.
So we're just about set for the reveal. So if I was you, I'd stick around. I think it's going to be great. Well, the time is at hand. I'm proud to unveil the 1934 Philco Model 84 restored.
And now, the grand finale.
Just pass them around. You'll find my reason is logically sound. Who's gonna know that you passed them around 100 years from today? Why crave a penthouse that's fit for a queen? You're nearer heaven on Mother Earth's green. If you had millions, what would they all mean 100 years from today? So laugh and sing, make love that sings, be happy while you may. There's only one beneath the sun that's bound to make you feel that way. The moon is shining, and that's a good sign. Cling to me closer and say you'll be mine. Remember, darling, we won't see it shine 100 years from today. 100 years from today.
Absolutely great. She's still going strong at age 87. May you still be around in 87 more years. I'd like to wish each and everyone out there a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Here's hoping 2022 will be better than the previous 2 years. This is Buzz 1151 speaking. Good night, everybody.